morning, PotCoins. Today is Sunday, 2 August 2015. We are currently on block 935677 of the Pot chain. I've been extremely busy lately, so I'm switching the show to every other week. Here's what's been going on since last time. The hyper halvings are at 25 pot per block and about to be 12 pot in the next few days. While everything seems to be going well with the halvings, there have been a few other problems. One minor issue I noticed was when I updated the wallet on my second computer, it doesn't have any connections to the PotCoin network. When I updated on my first computer, I didn't have that issue. I tried waiting a while, and after nothing happened, I used the bootstrap file. It read all that, but couldn't get new blocks. I did some advanced user stuff and made a potcoin.conf file to put in the roaming folder. Then it started working. It's weird that I didn't have that issue on the first computer. A step like this is too much for non-technical users. I'm fairly non-technical, and it was a challenge to figure that out. It's not impossible, but it's not good enough for lazy stoners. I don't understand how it really works, but I know it should work better. Exchanges have been having issues with PotCoin. Karpeles, the exchange that I use most, says that the wallet is under maintenance, and there have been reports that a few other are currently down too. Shapeshift has been having minor problems. The iPhone app was buggy about PotCoin this past week. At first, it said that the max amount was 0, but I decided to test it and see what would happen. So I sent 2.5 millibits, less than $1's worth at the time, and Shapeshift recognized that the amount was sent, but said that there was a problem. I waited a little longer than usual, about 6 minutes, and the transaction went through, and appeared in my newly updated desktop wallet on the first computer. I was excited that Pot Wallet had integrated Shapeshift and haven't gotten around to testing it yet, so I decided to test that one too. I logged into potwallet.com and went to the Exchange tab. At first, it also said that the maximum amount was 0, but I reloaded the page and tried again. This time, it gave me a Bitcoin address, so I sent it 2.5 millibits. PotWallet saw that the Bitcoin was sent almost immediately and said that the transaction was complete, but I didn't get any PotCoins, and the link to the Pot chain was a bad link. And the exchange history said 0 BTC to 0 Pot. I thought I had lost my 2.5 millibits, but after about 10 minutes my balance had updated and I got my PotCoins. The exchange history still had a bad link, but I looked up the address on the PotChain Explorer and the coins are there. So it still works even though the transition period is buggy. I was playing around with amounts less than $1, and I wouldn't recommend doing much more than that for a few more weeks. I didn't try the pot to BTC conversion, but I assume that it works and it's probably a little buggy too. Be careful during this transitional period. Bugs are getting noticed and hopefully getting fixed. Once the exchanges like Karpeles have resolved wallet issues, it would probably be safe to start transacting in larger amounts. In the meantime, just sit back and chill while you build up coin days to destroy through staking. Trees, a new startup in California, is trying to bring pot into the 21st century with an app that lets you buy pot with Bitcoin and delivers it by drone. Pot, Bitcoin, and drones. This idea is so good, there's no way that it can be legal. The oppressors of the state will never let them get away with it. Marshall Hayner, one of the founders, said, "We are currently working on drone logistics, and as soon as the FAA passes the appropriate legislation, we'll have fleets in every state." He said that as if he didn't know the government would fuck him. It seems too blindly optimistic. I might be a little too far on the pessimistic side, but there's no way I can imagine them getting away with it. This concept would disrupt the control the state has over dispensaries. To open up a dispensary, you need a lot of cash. First, you need to bribe the state into letting you do it. Usually, they just take the money and say no anyway. But for the lucky few that get paperwork saying they can open up shop, they still need a commercial space and all the capital to set up a shop. Then they can only accept cash. And most importantly, When the state wants to shut them down, they know where to find them. The drone delivery model destroys all of that. You don't need a commercial space, you barely need employees, they accept Bitcoin and credit cards, and it opens up the door for anyone to get into it. You can be anonymous and off the grid as long as you have electricity and internet, and still sell pot. You wouldn't even have to pay taxes. I'm imagining skilled home growers with drones piggybacking off this idea, and I'm sure that the state can imagine it too. That's why I don't think this drone idea will fly. I still wish trees the best of luck. They're going to need it. The big story in Bitcoin is Mark Karpeles getting arrested yesterday by the Japanese police. Many Bitcoiners, especially those that lost money, have suspected Karpeles of fraud since last year. The police have been gathering evidence and investigating the missing Bitcoin since February of last year. They are beginning to think that most of the 650,000 missing Bitcoins never existed in the first place. Karpeles is still denying claims of fraud and instead holding on to his story about hackers and transaction malleability. Although nothing has actually happened yet, a lot of people feel better knowing that Karpeles is not out on the town walking around free. He's in custody and being held accountable to the 127,000 people that he owes money to. It took almost a year and a half to arrest him, and he'll probably sit in jail for a year before the trial. Depending on the outcome of this case, it could rebuild the trust in Bitcoin that was lost due to the collapse of Mt. Or, if he gets away with it, even more people will be absolutely convinced that Bitcoin is a scam. That's it for this edition of Mad PotCoins. Smoke 'em if you got 'em.